Hi guys, welcome to Retrospective, and in this video I'll be doing my review of NXT Deadline 2024. So first one card, we had the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge, where we had Obafemi, who made his return after a couple of months, replacing Eddie Thorpe in the match that was announced before the show that Eddie was not medically cleared to be in the match, and he defeated Dijon Evans, Ethan Page, Wesley, and Nathan Frazer in what was a decent match. I enjoyed it for the most part. I had its more entertaining moments, and it felt like more of a brawling style. This one had compared to the women's one, which we'll talk about, had a bit of a different style. For me, I wouldn't have had Dijon Evans and Wesley start the match just because it didn't really seem to click between those two. I don't know kind of what happened, but compared to their match from, I think it was NXT 2300, that match was a lot better compared to this one, which had, I don't know, it had like a bit of a rugged feel to it. It didn't seem like they were on the same wavelength or something. I don't know, just the first 5 minutes of this match really wasn't very good in my opinion. The addition of Nathan Frazer was fine for the most part. It was very flippy and very high fly for the first kind of 10 minutes of this match between the three of these. And yeah, it was fine for the most part. I feel like Dijon Evans was doing just that bit more, but for no reason. You know, like tactically for this match, you want to be kind of conserving energy but doing damage. He was doing unnecessary flips and springboard stuff, which I felt like kind of played against him as far as wanting to win the match. But I said it wasn't a terrible match, it just kind of didn't work. And then we had Ethan Page come in at number 4, and yeah, he kind of changed the dynamic of the match a fair bit. He was very smart, and it kind of stayed smart throughout the match, well, throughout the remainder of the match, until he kind of got taken out near the end. You know, he was doing clever pinfalls, trying to take people out, kind of, I don't know, kind of manipulating people against each other, all that kind of stuff, and it worked really well. A match like this plays to Ethan Page's benefit quite well, and kind of wrestlers like him who use kind of their brain a lot more than their brawn. And then yeah, we had the return of Obafemi, who we've not seen since Halloween Havoc, I believe, or just after Halloween Havoc. And yeah, I absolutely popped when I saw him. I was really hoping that it was going to be him that was in the match, and it was. I could have been happier with his performance in the match. I thought he wasn't as dominant as I thought he was going to be, but for the most part, it worked really well. I really was concerned it was going to get to a point where it was too late for Obafemi to win the match, but getting the double pin on Frazer and Evans, I think it was, or Lee, yeah, kind of helped his chances, and obviously he pinned 2 people at once, meaning that he got 2 points and won the match, I believe, 3-2-1-1-1, I believe. But yeah, I was very happy with the turn of Obafemi. For me, he's going to be the face now of NXT for 2025. It wouldn't shock me if Trick got called up to the main roster as part of this kind of build of SmackDown after the Netflix debut, and he kind of ends up on the main roster pretty much afterwards, like a lot of people I assume will do. For me, like, I would like to see Obafemi on the main roster, but I'd rather him like be NXT champion for like a decent part of 2025 and then come up maybe at the latter stages of next year. But yeah, I think for me, this could be the biggest threat to Trick Williams' title reign between both of his reigns so far, in my opinion, and I'm really rooting for Obafemi to become NXT champion after this. After that, we had the NXT Underground match that saw Lola Vice defeat Jaida Parker, and I thought was really good. I thought Parker was really great throughout this match. She looked great. She was kind of adapting that MMA part of the match really well, and you can kind of tell that she did her homework on Vice, and not that they haven't met enough before, but also the case of like she controlled the match for the most part, in my opinion, and yeah, worked it really well. I think both of these women are proving more and more that they will be the face of the women's division going forward in NXT. I think these two, as well as the new signings, and I don't know, maybe a couple of others like Ren Sinclair is now coming up. We've got Kalani Jordan, Sol Rucker. You know, all these girls are really starting to get to a point where all of them are kind of establishing themselves as face of the women's division. And as I said, but with these two especially being like the main two, I can see them having like a kind of Gargano and Ciampa relationship, as far as like they'll constantly be around each other when it comes to being the main event of the women's division. And yeah, I think it's really cool that like Lola Vice has her own match. and hopefully they kind of stick with the fact that she's undefeated in it. It's kind of Undertaker's casket match, and you know that kind of thing where she has her match. So if you really want to get to her, you challenge her in her own. And yeah, hopefully, as I said, she stays as strong as she is within this match. But yeah, I thought it was a great match. It was very enjoyable for the most part. I've heard like a lot of comments and stuff saying that it wasn't very good. For me, very much enjoyed it. It's just like I enjoyed the Shayna Baszler match for the NXT Underground. And yeah, as I said, it was a really good platform to have these two kind of go in and fight each other and kind of have a singles match for the women that isn't for the championship, something we very rarely see on the main roster. So it's good that they're doing it down in NXT. Following that, Nathan Frazer and Axiom defeated No Quarter Catch to retain the NXT Tag Team Championships. And a decent match. It was very high octane for the most part, even with Frazer as hurt as he was, with taped ribs and busted up nose and all this kind of stuff. But for me, like, No Quarter Catch did have a very good showing in this one. T-Von Heights looks like he's going to be very, very good in the future and could be a kind of diamond in the rough within No Quarter Catch if they ever come to a split or they kind of need a new leader. He would be a very good fit into that role. It's very, very impressive that Miles Bourne wrestles death. I can't imagine what that's like. Like, me and my brother were sat watching it. We were trying to not like get a feel for it, but just trying in our heads, just try and figure out. And it's just, yeah, it's very impressive that he does what he can do with such a disadvantage, like compared to everyone else. Though I don't know, disadvantage is kind of the wrong word. I don't want to get cancelled, but you know what I mean. It's just kind of like, it must be really difficult, and it's very impressive what he does. Like, so kudos to him. This team worked incredibly well. I didn't actually realise how good these two were until I've actually seen them, as I don't always watch NXT on the weekly, so I kind of miss what they do. But yeah, no, this was very, very good as far as the match goes. But Nathan Frazer and Axiom are by far the most dysfunctional tag team in WWE history. But they're not on... Well, I don't know. The more they're not on the same page, the stronger they are. And it makes zero sense at all. We got a point where Axiom accidentally took out Nathan Frazer. The guy's injured. You could have literally said that No Quarter Catch were going to get the win there, and Axiom kicked out, and the match carried on. It's almost laughable how dysfunctional they are, but how they always come out the other side is like retaining the championships, even though they're like never on the same page. And then the one time they were definitely on the same page against Chase U, they lost the championships. It makes no sense at all. But yeah, this is a very enjoyable match. I think it was a decent showing for Axiom and Frazer, but a very good showing for No Quarter Catch Crew. It wouldn't surprise me if they were going to come back around again and challenge for the tag team championships. But yeah, for me, take the titles off Frazer and Axiom and have them feud with each other instead, because this is getting really old and I really am not enjoying it that much as far as them as a team. But like, they seem to make other tag teams look really good, so I don't know, it's kind of a conflict of interest. But for me, it's just getting silly how dysfunctional Axiom and Frazer are, but how strong they come out looking afterwards. It makes no sense at all. Following that, we had Trick Williams successfully retain the NXT Championship against Ridge Holland in a good match. I'd probably say this is Ridge's best match to date. I know that he was in the good old Donnybrook match between Imperium and the Brawl and Bruce. That was a very good match. But for me, as a singles guy, this is by far his best match. And I'm very glad he didn't win. I'm very honest. For someone who is actually from Yorkshire, but not the same part of Yorkshire as Ridge Holland, I couldn't be more against him if I tried. I really don't like him. I don't know. It's just something about him I just really don't like. The fact that the Big E stuff isn't great. But yeah, I feel like it's just... What I did like about it is that they did do the really close finish where Trick Williams put his neck between the ropes. I know that it looked really dangerous, but trust me, if you watch Trick's arms, you could tell that this was a planned spot. And yeah, it was very smoothly done as well, by the way. The trapping your neck in the rope so smoothly but so carefully as well, it's very impressive to do. And yeah, and then I thought straight after that, when Rich took him out, I thought that was going to be it. It was going to be the end. And luckily for all of us, it wasn't. Trick kicked out. But yeah, we know what's next for Trick. We know it's Obafemi, and yeah, his people better be ready for the end of Trick Williams' reign, because Obafemi is going to destroy this guy, take his championship at New Year's Evil, and be the face of the division, and it wouldn't shock me if Trick made his way up to the main roster. He's so over. And also I noticed, like, maybe it's just a little thing that I read too much into, but Booker T wasn't doing his kind of talking between the fans saying whoop that Trick during his entrance. For me, that was a showing that we need to get used to hearing it without Booker T, because Booker T will stay in NXT doing commentary, but Trick will move up to the main roster, and kind of, they would be very silly to have anyone but Booker do the kind of talking between the words of his song. So yeah, for me, as I said, it does seem like Trick's title reign is coming to an end sooner rather than later. Very happy that Ridge didn't get the win here, though he has been on a very good run as of late. And the match itself was good for the most part. It wasn't the best match on the card, or not even the second best match on the card, but it was fine for what it was. And yeah, as I said, everything was just decent, to be fair. And finally, the main event, and what I correctly predicted, being that match of the night was the Women's Iron Survivor match, where Giulia defeated Zarya, Ren Sinclair, Sol Rucker, and Stephanie Vaquer to become the #1 contender to the NXT Women's Championship. For me, I liked the way this match started. It went for a different style compared to the men's. The men's went for a very quick, very rugged, and kind of brawling style to start with, whereas Giulia and Ren Sinclair started the match, and they kind of went for a more submission based with quick roll-ups. And yeah, it was like a different feel to it, a different vibe to it, and it worked really well. And yeah, when I think the second person in was Sol Rucker, and then Zarya came in, and then Stephanie Vaquer fifth. And yeah, it worked really well. The kind of match went from technical to a bit more brawling, these kind of style we expect out of the Deadline and the Iron Survivor matches, sorry. For me, there was no surprises with the fact that Ren Sinclair got pinned so much. It very much felt like she was in there to be pinned, but when she got pinned like 2 or 3 times in a row straight after coming out of the box, and her reaction to that, I thought was very funny, and it kind of worked for her character. She is very entertaining. I think it's going to work for her in the future, as far as maybe winning a North American championship. I can't see her being women's champion, but yeah, for me, I feel like she'd be a good fit for the mid card for the women's division. Vaquer left her point very, very late. I was very surprised with that. I was worried at one point that she wasn't even going to get a point on the board, but it turns out everyone got a point on the board. I think it finished 2-1-1-1-1. But for me, with Giulia getting this win, it puts Roxanne and her title reign in a lot of danger. Because if you think about it, Zarya pinned Roxanne Perez at NXT 2300 in the 10-woman tag. Vaquer pinned Roxanne Perez in the tag team match at Halloween Havoc. And now Giulia has won the Iron Survivor match, making her #1 contender. So for me, and maybe they'll go for this, maybe they're going to have a fatal 4-way match at New Year's Evil, where Perez is 100% going to lose her championship, and it's going to be Perez versus Zarya versus Vaquer versus Giulia in a match that will probably be a match of the year contender from day 1 or day 7, because I think it's the 7th of Jan, New Year's Evil. But yeah, I feel like that would be a really cool way to go. And I mean, I'd love to see Roxanne Perez and Giulia just go at it one-on-one. Same with Zarya and Stephanie Vaquer. But putting them all in the ring, no disqualifications, and just letting them go at it, I feel like would be the best choice. And yeah, it's something I'm very much looking forward to, and something that I really, really hope they're going to do. But yeah, I think Sol Rucker, I know that I haven't really mentioned her much, but for her, I feel like her time comes later on. I think like she's going to be a women's champion at some point, whether it be North American or the main women's champion. But you know, there's plenty of time for her to kind of get to that level. We don't need to do that now. Whereas it feels like with Zarya, Stephanie Vaquer, and Giulia, they kind of want them to have good reigns in NXT quite quickly, and then get them shifted up to the main roster. Or at least that's the vibe I get from them on TV and on pay-per-view. But yeah, I think this match shows really well the absolute quality that the NXT Women's Division has, and it's going to be a very, very good year to be watching NXT as far as just the roster in general, but especially the Women's Division, because as a lot of people say, they do have the best Women's Division in wrestling at the minute. And yeah, for me, as I've said, Roxanne Perez is in a lot of danger of losing her title very quickly into the new year. So those are my thoughts and opinions on NXT Deadline. Do put down in the comments below what your favourite match was of the night, what your favourite moment was, what you think is going to happen at New Year's Evil. Do you think we're going to get 2 big title changes very early in because of the main roster needing bodies. You know, can you see Roxanne Perez defending in a Fatal 4-Way match, or do you think they're just going to do the one-on-one with Giulia and then have Zari and Stephanie Vaquer come in later on with their wins over Roxanne Perez? Are we going to do stuff before New Year's Eve? Or there is a few weeks before that happens, and maybe they'll do title matches then, but I can't see that being the case. But yeah, it seems like it's a very exciting time to be a fan of NXT, especially going into the new year. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of new faces coming up in NXT in the new year. It feels more like a change of eras, if you will, with a lot of people, I assume, as I said before, going up to the main roster to help fleshing out the rosters of Raw and SmackDown, going into 2 3-hour shows during the week. And yeah, I'm excited to see who these new faces are going to be, whether they're going to be faces we recognise from the indie scenes, whether they're going to be coming through the NXT Deadline program. They're both that, well, you've got WWE ID and WWE NXT Deadline, and yeah, they seem to get like a lot of good talent from both. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what next year holds for NXT, so I feel like we're going to see in like a whole new era and a whole new outlook of their divisions. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. But, you know, do put down in the comments what you think we're going to get in NXT in 2025, and how much you enjoyed the pay-per-view, what your favourite match was, and all that good stuff. And I will ask you to like the video if you, well, liked it. And yeah, I'd like to subscribe, all that good stuff. I did a stream over on Bobby's Breakdowns channel that I will link in the description, where we talked about stuff we wanted to see in 2025 and talked about stuff that we enjoyed in 2024. So yeah, do go check that out. On Friday coming up, so the 13th, I believe, I, as well as Bobby on Bobby's Breakdown and the Wrestling For You channel, we are interviewing former WWE superstar Eugene. And yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's the first time I get to interview a wrestler, so definitely go check that out. I will link that during the week on the community page, so go check that out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you all enjoyed Deadline, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.